Hoima town has a population of about 400,000 people who mainly make a living in agriculture and fishing. My recent trip to the area was as revealing as it was educative. The government prison has just a few inmates, but they complain of ignorance about their rights, something a government agency is moving to fix. And not very far from the prison is the King's Palace, which stores centuries of the King's regalia and a rich cultural heritage of not only Bunyoro Kingdom, but also the entire Great Lakes region. Let's go to Hoima, the soon-to-be oil city. Hoima town is a serene yet busy area, bustling with activity, ranging from petty trade to big businesses. The people here seem very hospitable and friendly. Our journey to this district, located in western Uganda, was to meet inmates in Hoima prison. Officials from the Judicial Service Commission were scheduled to hold an educational discussion with the inmates to sensitize them on their rights. Hoima prison has 167 inmates, 4 of whom are women incarcerated here after conviction for committing various offenses. We made attempts to talk to some of the inmates about the way they are treated, but were stopped by prison warders. Most inmates in this country are unaware of their rights, especially when in detention. And so the education that they're receiving here is meant to help improve the way they are treated. Now, the rules governing this area prohibit us from talking directly with the inmates. And so we're just hoping that in the course of this workshop, they may raise their grievances. And shortly after, they raised their concerns with officials from the Judicial Service Commission.
And yet they had ample time to revise the file and commit it. At the end, stating I'm requesting another time to make investigation.
Na kwa Uganda wanatia mpya mtu popote kufungua kwa prison. Wanaona mkono ya LC yake number 1. Lakini hiyo watakamata sisi binadamu bila LC kujua wanakuwekea hapa.
Michael Elubu, a registrar with the Judicial Service Commission, believes that the sensitization campaign will go a long way in helping the inmates in protecting their rights.
We tell them about the criminal justice process, right from the time of their arrest, all the way to the last appeal. This procedure has been explained to them in very fine detail. And the reason is because if they have that information, then they can pursue their rights from an informed point of view.
Have you seen any considerable change in the way the inmates are treated as a result of these sensitization workshops that you have?
We haven't done the review yet because this is an initiative that has started this year. But I can tell you that as a result of some of the facilities that we have visited, some changes have already taken place.
Hoima is one of the 5 districts constituting Bunyoro sub-region and is renowned for being the nucleus of the Bunyoro Kitara Empire. At the height of its glory in the 18th and mid-19th centuries, Bunyoro Kitara Empire, under the reign of Omukama Chwa Kabalega, covered present-day Buganda Kingdom, stretched to present-day Tanzania and even parts of Zaire, now renamed the Democratic Republic of Congo. Omukama Kabalega's heroic exploits in the war against colonialists are well documented in various libraries I have visited. I felt our sojourn here would be incomplete without visiting the current king, Solomon Gafabusa Iguru's palace, to get to know firsthand facts on Bunyoro Kingdom. And fortunately, we were allowed in and met the king's principal private secretary, Yoramun Samba, who took us to one of the royal chambers known as the throne room, where all the kingdom's ancient regalia is kept.
The story of this kingdom is a story of metallurgy. In other words, this kingdom was built on technology, not on fantasy.
Even as he fondly relishes the great pride about Bunyoro Kingdom, Nsamba, a former lecturer at Makerere University, cannot hide his disdain for the early British explorers and the unforgettable legacy they left in Bunyoro Kingdom.
The real intention of Sir Samuel Baker coming to this country in the 1870s was to enrich himself with ivory. It never was to civilize us. Because how was a man like Sir Samuel Baker going to civilize us when he was himself primitive? Primitive in that he had to go and bathe before His Majesty and receive the order of birth. And he was knighted. Then he came here as Sir Samuel Baker. I mean, I find that totally unpalatable.
We then set off on a 4-kilometer journey to another historic Bunyoro site known as the Mparo Tombs. Now this is the place where the Bunyoro kings are buried. And this monument here behind me is a place that was built in honor of the great Egyptian leader, Emin Pasha, who was received by Omukama Kabalega at this spot. This site is also where the personal effects of past Bunyoro kings are stored, and entry is only permitted after paying a token fee. The recent discovery of oil in Bunyoro region has sprung the area into prominence. Residents are obviously excited about the wealth the region has and the promise of development ahead.
Hoima is going to become a city of oil. Actually, they call it the oil city. So most people have put their eyes, they are putting their ears on Hoima. All roads are turning to Hoima. They want to see the richness that is in oil.
However, what they forget is that hope for good life ahead due to oil dividends will depend on whether the resource is prudently managed to avoid the oil curse like seen in Nigeria. Fact is, Hoima town has a unique vibrancy to it that enthralls many first-time visitors given its rich cultural history and tourist sites. The low crime rate also speaks volumes of the laid-back lifestyle that the people here lead. Like we have seen, the promise that comes with the soon-to-begin commercial production of oil in Hoima is keeping the residents with great hope for a better life. Already, there is fervent activity with some speculators strategically acquiring land with the hope that its value will appreciate so that they sell it off expensively when oil activity begins. But even as Hoima waits for the oil dividends, the people are exploring ways of promoting the tourist attractions, especially in regard to the royalty like the cultural attractions in the King's Palace and beyond. I am Chris Ochamringa for NTV Connect.